This book sucked really bad. Hello, and welcome to my inaugural terrible book cover review, where I judge some books by their covers and then figure out if I was right or not. So, my very first book that I will be lambasting in this review is Tender Deception by Judith Steel. And if you can see the cover, I apologize if it is very grainy. There aren't very many good pictures of it online. There's like a little teeny picture I found on Goodreads, and that is what you get. If you can't see that, this is what the cover looked like. And this is why I decided to review it, because it made me laugh really hard when I picked it up. I specifically went to a used book sale and was looking for terrible book covers. I didn't even read the back of any of them. I just picked them up, and this was the first one that really got to me. The others were, the others I'm going to be reviewing are kind of bad. This is really bad. Just look at that mustache. And just, oh my goodness. Oh, we're shirtless in the desert for no good reason. Ha! So, some details before we get to this piece of crap. The title, again, is Tender Deception, and this is by the author Judith Steel. I looked her up. She wrote 12 books, the last one in 1996. Most of them do not have good ratings. And this is one of the worst ones as far as the ratings are concerned. Most of them have like 3 stars, but others also have 2 stars like this one does. So this is not a good sign. This was published by Zebra Lovegram. So I'm guessing an offshoot of the Zebra publisher. I haven't heard of them before. I'm guessing it is no longer in existence. I've heard of Zebra, but I haven't heard of, Zebra Lovegram. It is a historical romance. It is a Western historical romance set in the Arizona Territory in 1881. So you can kind of, see some of the things that are going to happen. It doesn't make it any better, though. Oh my goodness. This is a fairly sizable novel at 444 pages, but the print is about an average size. It's not too small, it's not too big, so you're getting a lot of book, but that's not a good thing in this case. And yeah, so let's get into a quick synopsis before I tear this one a new one. So the main characters are Jacelyn McCaffrey and Grant Ward. I have no idea how to pronounce her name. It looks like Jocelyn, but with an A. So maybe it's Jocelyn and they just spelled it weird, or it's Jacelyn. I don't know. But weird first name, never a good sign. It's on the, I think the second page of this book. And just drives me crazy. So, Jacelyn is a well-to-do woman from back east. She is trying to inherit her family's textile company, but she needs to get her brother's signature in order to take over the business because she knows her brother's not interested in it. He is a map maker for the U.S. Cavalry out in Arizona, and so this is why she's out here. Grant Ward is the chief of scouts. He is half Apache, half white, and he is kind of the liaison between the Apache scouts and the cavalry. And of course, they both meet in the first couple pages. They don't like each other. There you go. So, Jessalyn is looking for her brother. The cavalry has not heard from her brother. He has gone missing. And so, of course, she has to go find him. And this is where the story ensues. She gets captured by some bandits. Grant sees this happen and decides to pretend to be a bandit and join their gang and look after her. And of course, since she's only seen him briefly, she didn't know that he was a chief of scouts. She's like, "You dirty son of a bitch, oh, I hate you." But he's the one guy who isn't a complete, ruffian who's trying to, rape her or anything like that. So she begrudgingly lets him kind of take care of her versus any of the other guys. And, she says, "Oh yeah, you'll get a ransom from me, so don't hurt me." Except that kind of complicated because there won't be a ransom because she hasn't inherited anything yet. She needs to get permission from her brother. So it's a whole thing. And yeah, they're basically at the ranch. This ranch the bandits have for, I'd say, 90% of the book. A good 90% of the book, they're at this ranch. And it's completely boring. Not a whole lot happens. Basically, it's a ever rotating thing of which bandit is going to be the one left behind with her to watch after her, and how she has to fend them off, and how Grant comes back and saves her all the time. Well, he saves her like 50 million times, and they get jiggy with it, and they get together. You know, it's a romance novel. It happens. So, and I'm not even like exaggerating. Like, I'm not even simplifying it super much for this review. That's basically the plot. There's not a whole lot. There's a sort of subplot where the reason Grant's out is because they've been seeing a bunch of people dead and scalped, and you know, everybody's blaming the Apache, but it's actually one of the bandits who's a jerk and is scalping people. You know, it's a thing. It's not. It doesn't really go anywhere. Okay. Oh, so my review of why this thing sucks so bad. So, like I said, they are on this ranch for a good portion of the book. The bandits have taken her there because, you know, she says that they can get a ransom from her, and so they want to keep her there while they inquire about, you know, how to get to someone who might, know who she is and get a ransom from her. And Grant is there to protect her and also to kind of find out what the bandits are doing, and he can relay this to the cavalry, which he does at certain points. But there's so damn much delaying in this thing. It's so stupid. They have, I swear, like 50 opportunities to escape and don't, for the dumbest reasons. Like Grant, is thinking, oh well, if I just stay on a little longer, I'll know more of what they're doing, and I can send the cavalry out and capture them. It'll be all good. Fine. And then she tries to escape, and Grant stops her because he's trying to protect her, because he knows if she escapes, like, they might go, like, she'll die, because either they'll capture her and they'll, like, beat her up or rape her, or they won't catch her, but she'll die because it's in the desert and she doesn't know what she's doing. She's a, well-to-do Eastern lady. And this goes on a lot. And yeah, they eventually try to escape, and then Grant gets shot, and she thinks he's dead because he falls into a river. And it's the most obvious thing in the world that he's not dead. Like, you're thinking, you're dumb. This is such a plot device. It's stupid. So it's super obvious that Grant is not dead. And you think she's an idiot. I mean, again, it's in the context of the story. She sees him fall in the river. She heard a gunshot go off. She thinks he's dead. You can understand it, but it's so dumb. It's like one of the dumbest plot devices. Every single plot device in this thing is really, really cliche and really stupid. And you want to punch the book because it is so dumb. And yeah, so they have so many attempts to, so many times they could get away, and then they don't take it. And of course, the time they do try, bad stuff happens, and it's horrible. So they are, and really, it doesn't come to much. I mean, yeah, the cavalry comes, and they shoot bandits and kill most of them, and they find out that the scalping is not the Apaches, it's this one guy, one of the bandits. And, they save her, and they find her brother is dead. That's a thing, but it doesn't matter for crap. It really doesn't. There's none of this stuff in here. It's a complete plot cul-de-sac. Many, many plots that are cul-de-sac. And the only thing that changes, really, by the end of the book is they're together, and his Apaches aren't in trouble anymore. That's it. That's it. And I mean, the story, there's no real character development. I mean, yeah, she's from the East, and so she you know, has to learn some of the stuff in Arizona, but it's at a ranch, so it's nothing really specific about the area. Oh, and when she goes to the ranch, it's really dirty, and so she cleans it, and she says like, oh yeah, I was put in charge of the maids or something at like my uncle's house. And you're like, what the? It would have been so much more interesting if she was this really prissy girl who had no idea what to do and was just like, I don't know what to do. I've never cleaned anything in my life. But no, they don't do that. You know, she's kind of self-sufficient as it is. Except, okay, this is a big problem for me. She always has to be rescued. She never really does anything on her own. She will attempt to do things, but it never goes right. You know, she always winds up having to be saved. When she tries to help Grant, she gets him hurt, and so she always has to be saved. She's never, she seems to be self-sufficient, but really isn't. She always has to be saved, and I hate that. You know, there's no character development where she can actually, you know, hold her own or, you know, do something on her own without a man. And I'm not even talking about it as like a feminist type perspective. It's just annoying because the character has no character development and you hate it. So there's two things that are somewhat tolerable about this book. As much as those are the negatives, there's two things that are tolerable. Grant as a character and his whole thing is tolerable. He is interesting. Because he's half Apache, half white, so there's a big stigma attached to that, and, you know, you see him dealing with some of the Apaches that are scouts for him, and the interaction between him and some of them is really funny, and he's cool. You can see him like, sexy, except that he has a mustache, and I can't stand it when guys have mustaches in books. That's just a personal preference. I don't like that. But he's tolerable. And then also the sex was pretty decent. The chemistry between the characters wasn't very good, but in the sex scenes it was good. You know, it worked. They were a little long, but they were decent. So, let's see. The overall opinion of me, as I've stated many times, is that this book is really bad. It doesn't, because it stays in one location for so long, there's not a whole lot of, you know, flavor of you know, the time. You don't really get a whole lot of that. You know, they're stuck in one place and you don't see a whole lot of stuff, and so it could be pretty much, you know, pick up this plot, put it anywhere else, and it would you change a couple details and it would be the same thing. You know, you could do anything with it, like any kind of a bandit story in any type of, you know, place in this time period would be the same. You know, change a couple words and that's it. And let's see. Yeah, it's not good. I would say it's not the worst thing I've read. It is readable, and the characters aren't instantly attracted to each other, which I appreciate. Sex doesn't actually happen, I think, until like in the 200s pages. I wrote notes, and page 266. That's when they first have sexy times. There are a total of 3 sex scenes. I don't know if it's because it was like a product of its time, being in 1993, but there were no sex scenes for the last 100 or so pages. They have 3 scenes all grouped within about 50 or so pages, and then nothing for the rest of the book. Like some kissing, and that's it. And so that was kind of annoying. Sex scenes were okay. I would say on a hotness level, because I'm going to be doing hotness levels for all my books, it is a 5 out of 10. It is nothing special, but it has sex in it. The sex is decent. You know, if nothing else, the sex redeems this to a degree. I would never read this again, but I wasn't pissed off as much as I could have been, because I've read bad books where they didn't even have good sex or any sex, and I wanted to chuck the book out the window and kill it and set it on fire, because that's not cool. You don't tease me with sex and then give me nothing if you suck. So I will say it's a 5. It's a solid 5. And overall, The overall rating of this book is a C-. Again, not the worst thing I've read. It carries a story. I can tolerate it. The characters are not annoying, but they're not very interesting. And the plot's not very interesting. It is, again, it is saved by the fact that Grant is okay and the sex is okay. And that's about it. Sex carries a lot of weight with me in my stories and my romance novels. That's why it's rated as highly as it is. Otherwise, this would have been like a D. Solid D. Done. So, what did you think about this review? Do you find these interesting? You know, this is my first video, so I definitely welcome your feedback. If you have a book with a terrible cover you'd like me to review, go ahead and let me know down in the comments. If you are an author with a terrible book cover, I can review it for you if you want. Or if you have a regular book that you would like me to review, go ahead and either comment or send me a message and I'll let you know what we can do about that. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this and look forward to more book reviews coming soon. Bye!